again, part of the 13th Ward. It's a roundabout question, but how did you pick this site to have the senior citizens building put there when the residents were promised the Kelly Hamilton high-rise? The space is there. Why wasn't that considered in the thing? Because we definitely don't want no mini football field in that area. It's homeowners and Section 8 people right there where the old high-rise was, and they were promised 100 units. You know, were you only shown that particular area because we're wondering the people that got displaced were promised to be able to move back in that area? I have no problem with having a new it's just where you're going to have it at. What happens to the residents who were promised to come back to Kelly Street to live when they were displaced in the beginning? And then for you, how many residents, if any, are you planning to hire on any of the projects stated for Homewood? And was the black contractors offered any participation in these future endeavors?
Great question. So, either way, I can answer. You can answer.
Take your pick.
It's relevant. This one is relevant. It's relevant to this specific to this project.
Yes, and I'll let Reverend Burgess answer the other question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how we arrived at this site now, I'll have to let the Reverend speak to what happened with Kelly Street. But how we chose this site is when you're looking in development and looking for a successful project. And at first everyone thought was you're going to build housing. Well, first of all, we have to stabilize this corner. You have to start with your strengths and then build forward. So looking at that busway stop and everything, the potential that's locked up in there, as Ken mentioned earlier, developing something that creates a stabilizing factor, that creates eyes on the street. You're going to get that almost immediately when you put seniors in a high-quality development there. So if we can start with that, stabilize that corner, then make it safer and more attractive for people to want to buy and move into the single-family houses as we move in future phases. So that's really, we looked at that site specifically because it would make for a successful project.
Okay, so before you answer the other question about the hiring, I want to let Reverend Burgess answer the Kelly Street.
The Kelly Street, this is done by the URA funding. The Kelly Street property is owned by the housing authority.
I know that.
Of the city of Pittsburgh.
And the city owns that, yeah.
Okay. There were plans probably, 10 years ago to perhaps build a new place there.
Yeah, that's why they displaced everybody.
But there was never funding allocated for it. And this was before my time, both with the city and being the chair of the housing authority. And we actually discussed this morning in terms of what to put in that site. There is no funding right now for that site. There's no money budgeted, nor are there plans to rebuild on that site right now.
So everything that you proposed is geared towards the busway.
For right now,
Don't rape us out.
for right now, all I can tell you is the first phase is the high-rise. We will consider that site. We are considering that site. Perhaps as we go to do a second phase, it may be a place to put affordable housing at. But that's the question we'll talk about in July and August. That's true. It's the land may be in play, but in terms of the housing authority does not plan to build. It's going to build Addison next, and then Lorimer after that. So there's no plans to build for the housing authority to build. There may be an opportunity for us on the URA side to build on that property. There'd have to be an agreement between the developer and the URA and the city because that land is federal HUD land. But we're having that conversation.
So you have all of the contracts in this first phase. You guys are doing it all.
We have this contract. That's what we have at this point in time. And the URA was hoping to have this build and have more development and investment, I think, happen across as many sites as possible and as much as the need is there for improving. And part of that is a commitment to hiring residents and hiring black residents and contractors. That's a commitment that the contractor has made to exceed all the goals that the URA has put out in that regard.
No, that's not answering my question. It says black residents. I said the black contractors, where they offered any input into this project that you're on.
Sure.
The contractors themselves.
Yeah.
The residents I'm talking about hired, that's two separate things.
They are. They're two separate programs, and there's goals for both, actually. So one is called the Section 3 program, which is absolutely geared towards residents of the community. And the second is that minority and women-owned business enterprises will exceed all of the goals on that. And for this project, as it pertains to contractor input, we're almost to that point. We don't have our drawings to the point where we'll be estimating they'll go out to bid to many, many contractors. We're excited to get that contracting feedback, and we will give that to every possible contractor. And the general contractor, so there's a general contractor who organizes all of the subcontracts, and that general contractor goes out to hundreds of subcontractors to play particular roles, and they are going to do that.
Okay, who will be hiring our residents?
We will be working through our prime contractor to hire both residents and also subcontractors from the community as much as possible. So we are committed to that. We are getting that process. So you're going to be hearing more about that as we move towards construction in October. So. And if
you have general contractor or subcontractors, particular contractors, and they don't know about this, make sure they know about it. Make sure Jerome knows about it. Make sure we get them listed. Rashad is here. He has a great understanding of this process and is going to be very actively involved in getting more folks bidding on this. So please make sure that everybody's aware of it.